Introduction. Now let us learn about leveling of land. Before learning about leveling of land, let's pose two important questions. The first question is, what is leveling of land? The second question is, why should land be leveled? Now, let us discuss about the first question. What is leveling of land? If a land is uneven with lot of undulations, such land is made even and flat, which is called leveling of land. Now, let us discuss the second question. Why should land be leveled? It is a pertinent question. If we take up agriculture activities in a land with lot of undulation and uneven surface, the undulations act as a barrier and obstruction to agricultural activities. To avoid such difficult situation, land is leveled. Objectives. We shall discuss the objectives behind leveling of lands under the Comprehensive Land Development Program of the government that are converting fallow lands to agricultural lands. The government has initiated Comprehensive Land Development Program to convert the fallow lands owned by SCs and STs and financially weaker sections. As a part of this program, lands having undulations are being leveled for cultivation. Leveling of land will facilitate frictionless agricultural activities. Now let us discuss about the leveling of land. Why should land be leveled? Primarily, lands which have plenty of rocks, stones, undulations and pits are to be leveled so as to make the land suitable for cultivation purposes. Let us know how a fallow land looks like. A land that was never cultivated is called a fallow land. So, what is the purpose of converting it into a cultivable land? These fallow lands will yield a net income per annum for the poor farmers of the lands and also increases crop yield. The government has initiated Comprehensive Land Development Program. So converting an unproductive fallow land into a productive agricultural land is an excellent initiative. Under this major program, all the uncultivable lands will be transformed into agricultural lands. The government also aims at increasing per capita income by leveling the lands so as to increase the area under cultivation and improve the net income of the poor farmers. Leveling the land will prevent soil erosion. Proper leveling will help in conserving soil fertility. Leveling the land will facilitate easy and frictionless cultivation, but also increases the crop yields and generates sustainable income. Now, let us review the important topics of why do we level the land once again. To convert uncultivable lands into cultivable lands. Fallow lands can be converted into cultivable lands. This transforms poor farmers' lands into cultivable land so as to improve the farm productivity. This prevents soil erosion to get a sustainable income. Now let's learn about what types of lands must be leveled. Usually, in the hilly regions where the terrain is not flat and is with lot of uneven undulations, streams and gullies, it is difficult to cultivate. Hence, the land should be leveled. It is difficult to cultivate. Hence, the land should be leveled. This comprehensive land development program will be implemented in the lands of poor farmers. Let's revisit the important points of land leveling and where to perform this activity once again. In uneven fallow lands, in the lands without lot of streams and gullies, lands which are difficult for ploughing, in lands with slopes of more than 6%. Priority is given to the lands of the poor. Now let's learn about how to level the land. Firstly, as part of leveling these lands, high solid earthen blocks are to be dug and break them into small pieces. The soil so dug out is to be deposited in pits. If the slope of the land is high, then the land has to be made into small land blocks and leveled. Another important point to be kept in mind in the leveling is that the fertile top layer soil of the high mounds be deposited separately. The soil so deposited to be used to fill in the pits and level them. As that soil is fertile, it should be used well. Let's revisit the important points of how to level the land once again. First, high earthen solid mounds are to be leveled. The lands with high slope and having streams and gullies have to be divided into small land blocks and level them. The fertile top layer of the soil to be collected and deposited separately as a heap. Divide the land into small blocks so as to make it cultivable and level them. The fertile top layer soil so collected should be applied as a layer over the small land blocks. Let's learn about the advantages of leveling the land. Lands which are not suitable for the cultivation are converted into cultivable lands. The soil erosion can be prevented by leveling the lands. The fertile top layer of the soil is protected. By converting the fallow lands into cultivable lands, give net yields to SC and ST poor farmers. tools and implements, 15 or 30-meter tape, carpenter level, thread, wooden poles and iron rods, lime powder, spades, crowbars, cane baskets. Now let's learn about the method of marking for leveling. To level the lands with undulations, we should follow a procedure so as to make the work easier. Firstly, mark the entire land and then mark the low-lying areas. Now the fertile topsoil from high points of the land is collected and deposited separately as a heap. We should know why we should deposit the top layer separately. Because the top layer of the soil is very fertile. The formation of top layer of fertile soil takes many years and hence it should be applied wisely. The underlying soil layers are not very fertile. After depositing the fertile top layer of the soil separately as a heap, the remaining underlying soils should be applied in the low-lying areas to level and then apply the fertile top layer of the soil over it as a layer. This method is called cut and field method. Now let's learn the impact of using only the cut and field method. We have to divide the land into small blocks so as to make the land suitable for cultivation. Now, let's see what happens if we have to level in the hill slope lands by using cut and field method only. As you see, when it rains, the runoff water takes away the fertile top layer of the soil. To avoid such situation in lands, bench cut method is used. In bench cut method, the land is leveled as steps. The benefit of this method is the runoff water is stalled in the field and the excess water flows down to the low-lying fields slowly. This makes the runoff water does not carry the fertile topsoil along with it and prevents soil erosion. Now let us learn the methods of leveling the land. There are mainly two methods for leveling the land. First, cut and field method. Second, bench cut method. Let's know about using the cut and field method. This cut and field method is used in lands of SC, ST and poor farmers, which have lot of undulations, streams and gullies to convert them into productive agricultural lands so as to increase the cultivable area. What is cut and field method? The soil from high-lying areas in the fields is applied to fill pits and low-lying areas. It's called cut and field method. Cut and field method can be used in the fallow lands with lot of undulations. This is where this method is highly suitable. Now let's learn about bench cut method. The fallow lands belonging to SCs, STs with lot of undulations and slopes can be leveled by using bench cut method. To level the lands with high slopes, such as in the lands of hilly slopes, generally used cut and fill method alone is not adequate. If we level it with cut and field method in hill slope lands, when it rains, the runoff water takes away the fertile top layer of the soil. To avoid such situations in lands, bench cut method is used. In bench cut method, the land is leveled as steps. This makes the runoff water does not carry the fertile topsoil along with it and prevents soil erosion. So we should use bench cut method in the hill slope lands and in the lands where slope is high. Where is the bench cut method used? Bench cut method is used in the hill slope lands and in the lands where slope is high. Precautionary measures. We have to select the method of leveling the land based on the conditions whether to use cut and field method or bench cut method. During this leveling, top layer of fertile soil should be separated. The separated top layer fertile soil should be applied after leveling. The rocks and the stones in the land should be removed so that they don't obstruct farming activities later. So they should be removed in the initial phases only. In the lands with high slope, bench cut method must be used. Such leveled land should be divided into small blocks. While noting the measurements, each and every measurement is noted separately. The rocks in the field or stones in the surrounding areas should be used to construct revetment so as to prevent the soil erosion. We request for your kind attention. National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme is a unique scheme aiming at converting fallow lands of the poor SC and ST farmers into cultivable lands. Under the NREGS, Comprehensive Land Development Project is taken up to convert the fallow lands into cultivable land. We should see the ground realities and prevailing situations and decide upon the nature of works to be carried out. If the fallow lands have lot of stones and rocks and boulders, first we have to remove them, then only we can proceed to the leveling of the land. You may be already knowing what is to be done. If the land has shrubs and trees, because you might have already removed the shrubs and trees, but we recap once again. As you are aware of removal of shrubs and clearing the fields, the agricultural activities get easy. If the question is of why should be the lands leveled, it is because the agricultural activities get easier on a leveled land. If the fields are uneven with lot of undulations, then the agricultural activities would become tougher. In such situations, the land should be leveled. When we go to the field and observe high points where there is high point, we should dig it and deposit in the low-lying areas and pits. Like this, we have to dig and remove the high lands and fill in the low-lying areas. Before embarking upon leveling of the land, we should study in a systematic way the undulations, the high points and low points, then come to an estimation of the how deep we should dig in the high-lying areas and to what height the soil to dug out to be filled. We should also keep in mind that leveling does not mean that it should not have a minimum slope. Leveling means leveling the heights and depths. We should level the lands based on the nature of the land and location. You do not have to worry even the land has a slight slope, but should not have a very high level of undulations. We should remove the heights and depths. This kind of leveling is called cut and field method. One more point to be noted is that some of the lands given by the government to SCs, STs are in the hill slope areas. The land development works are being carried out in these areas also. Now, let us see how to convert these lands into cultivable lands by leveling. Cut and fill method is not feasible in the lands that are in the hill slopes. There is special method for this kind of land, that is bench cut method. Now let us learn about the bench cut method. We have to level these lands as steps in the shape of a bench. If we see from a long distance, it appears like steps form. The objective of using bench cut method is to prevent soil erosion by reducing the velocity of runoff water due to the steps. The excess water flows down slowly. However, in bench cut fields, the water current doesn't wash away the topsoil and hence the soil fertility can be protected. The other advantage of bench cut method is, in such fields, the blocks placed in steps and get water one after the other, and this is good as the entire field block gets water uniformly. Also, the fertile topsoil is protected. If we do not know bench cut method in this kind of hill slope lands, we not only lose the high fertile soil, but the land also loses its capacity to harvest. The crop yield will also decrease. That is why we should adopt bench cut method in these kinds of lands so as to get good harvest.